Okay, so hello everybody. Thank you for being here today. I'm Rocio Mena. I'm part of the board of directors, and I just wanted to give a brief introduction about WARP for all those who are new to our programs. So WARP means Weave a Real Piece. We are an international textile networking organization, and I'm going to screen share the website with you so you can see it very briefly. And well, I'm going to show you a little bit of the resources. Oops, so you can wait. I'm just going to screen share. Okay, so here's the website. The website is weavearealpiece.org, and this is our homepage. So you can go down and see all the homecoming events. So you just go, yeah. So here there's information about this year's annual meeting that will be in Canada. It will take place at the end of June. So registration will be open soon. There's also information about our grants fundraiser. And here you can find normally the panels. Now you can see today's panel. And you can also find information about our networking roundtable that happens every month and our fireside chats also. So some programs are just for members and others are open to all, like this panel that we're having today. So there are a lot of resources in the website in case you want to take a look. As I told you, it's weavearealpiece.org. So I'm going to stop sharing. So I'm going to turn it over to Mary-Anne. Mary-Anne Dalkowski is a member of the committee planning the 2026 WARP gathering in Guelph, Ontario, Canada. As I told you, it will be happening in June. And she's a member of the Guelph Guild of Handweavers and Spinners, and she also has a small weaving studio in her home just north of the city. So thank you, Mary-Anne.
Thank you, Lucia. With the first WARP annual gathering coming to Canada this June, we thought it would be nice to highlight just a few of the ways that Canadians have contributed to weaving communities around the world. Even if you don't know a lot about weaving in Canada, there's a good chance you've encountered it in one form or another. And today, our three panelists will share some of those connections. You can put your questions in the chat, or we'll all get together and ask questions at the end of the three presentations. Your choice. First, you may have taken a workshop or class, attended a presentation, or admired the work of a master weaver who completed the Ontario Handweavers and Spinners Weaving Certificate Program. Alice Abbott, who is Weaving Education Chair of the Ontario Handweavers and Spinners, will tell us all about this long-standing program and its role in developing skilled weavers. Alice, please.
Thank you very much, Mary-Anne, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about our program. I'm going to screen share and share a PowerPoint with you that will help us walk through this together. I hope I get it. I had some trouble a few minutes ago getting it to come up for me. Uh-oh. Okay. There we are. And let's start this. Okay, I hope you're all seeing what I'm seeing, and then we're good to go. So we are the Ontario Handweavers and Spinners. We have a weaving certificate program, which leads into a master weaver certification. And I'm very glad as the weaving education chair to join you today to explain our program to you. So what we're going to cover today, these are the topics we're going to be looking at. I hope that when we're done that you will have a clear overview of our program, and that if you're interested in joining us, you'll have an idea of how to get started. So what is the OHS? We are a non-profit organization, and we are a very diverse group of fiber people. So we have spinners, weavers, felters, rug hookers, all kinds of people who enjoy working with fiber arts. Even though we are called OHS and we're based in Ontario, we have students from all across the world. We have students from across Canada, from the United States, from Great Britain, Europe, and as far away as Singapore and Australia. So we're very happy to be able to share this with all of you because anyone can take part in our weaving education program. The membership, some of the things shown on the screen here are some of the perks of becoming a member. And the Fiber Focus magazine is sent out quarterly as part of the membership. We have two different education programs. I'm going to today focus on the weaving one, of course, but we also offer a spinning program. So if you're interested in knowing more about the spinning certificate program, which also leads to a master spinner designation, you can go to our website and get more information about that. So since I'm talking about the weaving program, this is a little background on how it began. In 1982, the program began, and it was an in-person course where you attended it at various different colleges across Ontario. In the 1990s, it transitioned into an at-home study program, a correspondence course. Basically, you got it in the mail. Of course, today that's all online. And in 2020, we also added the virtual study groups to help people connect with other people who are working on the same unit. So how do you know if you're ready to start the program? I want to stress this is not a learn to weave program. There are lots of those out there, and I think you'll be hearing about others today. But if you want to join us, we are specifically looking at you becoming a certified weaver and leading to the master weaver designation. So you have to know, are you ready to start? You need to know how to wind a warp, how to dress a loom, how to redress, to do some basic weaving. You do not need to be an expert, but you do need to have some of the basic weaving things sort of behind you. There is on our website, if you see at the bottom, it says, are you ready to start the OHS Weaving Certificate course? On the website, it's like a checklist. If you want to start the program, go there first, read through the checklist. And if you can check off each of the points on there, you know you are ready to start the program. So it is divided into two different sections. I'm going to begin by talking about the weaving certificate course. And this leads to the weaving certification, which is separate from the master weaver. That's the next step. So the first step, you would need to purchase the student guidelines and instruction booklet. This guideline booklet, it tells you how to prepare your binder, how to submit your work, how to mount your weaving samples. It gives you everything you need to prepare your weaving samples and all of your research to send it in for marking. There are 18 units in all. I know on the screen it shows 15, but there are 18. So you would begin, we highly recommend you begin with units 1 and 2. You can do all of these units in any order. They are, I find for myself anyways, they are rather progressive, but there's nothing that says you have to do unit 3 and then do unit 4 and so on. If you're interested in jumping to unit 8 after you do 1 and 2, that's totally fine. You can do them in any order. The reason we suggest you do 1 and 2 first is because they give you, first of all, they're very basic beginning structures, and then the unit 2 is color and design. Both of those units are referred to in other units. So perhaps you're working on unit 7 and it's checks and plaids. It might refer back to something in unit 2 from the color work that you did there. So that's why we do suggest you get 1 and 2 under your belt before moving on to the others. The other thing about this is if you are not interested in doing the all 18 and becoming a certified weaver, these are still wonderful units that you can do individually. It's kind of like auditing a course. So let's say unit 4 tapestry, you're really interested in tapestry and just want to work through that course. Or unit 10, fabric to fashion, you want to create woven fabrics and know how to create those into new fashion design. That is totally a wonderful thing to try. Take a unit and do it just for your own personal growth. So how do the units work and how should you get started? You need to become a member first. So you would have to go to the website and become a OHS member. And then you would go in and purchase your unit. So if you're just starting, maybe you're going to start with Unit 1. And you would also purchase the student guidelines that I talked about earlier. And then both of these you would have, they would be instant downloads, and you would be able to begin. Every unit, when you begin, it shares the objectives of the unit, the assignments you have to do, the resource list material, the resource list, materials list, and then the marking scheme for that unit. Also, then you would work through the unit step by step with the instructions listed in the instruction section. Also, on the front of each unit is the unit leader information contact information. So if you needed to contact one of the leaders about something within the unit you're not quite sure of, the contact information is there for you to be able to talk to her. For the marking, when you have finished a unit and you're ready to hand it in, you would purchase so the marking fee. It can be purchased online when you're ready, and then you would ship your materials to the unit leader of that course. The shipping to and from the leader is the student's responsibility. All that information, again, is in the student guidelines, and it would explain to you how to accomplish that. There are 3 submission dates throughout the year, so you can submit your work in January, May, and in September. There are some unit leaders who will let you submit work at different times, but you would have to organize that or confer with the unit leader to see if she is available for another different marking time. So if you have finished all 18 units and you have been successful, then you could move on to the Master Weaver program. This is kind of like finishing your BA, and now you're ready to do your thesis. You're ready to do your master's program. And this next section is like working on your thesis. We call that part the in-depth study. So in the in-depth study, you need to work on an area of original research. You have 2 years to complete this and hand it in for marking by a marking panel. The in-depth study, when it says it has to be an area of original research, you would confer with the in-depth study chair, and she would let you know if anything that you are focusing on has been done in the past. Because all of the in-depth studies that have been done are kept in our library in Ottawa, and they are all there. They can be actually signed out by members if you want to look at any of the past in-depth studies that have been done by people who achieved the Master Weaver level. And this is to make sure that we don't have any duplication, so that if you're original, that your thesis really truly is original work. And after you have finished that, and it has been marked, if you have been successful, you can now say that you are an OHS designated Master Weaver. I just want to explain a little about the virtual study groups, because they've been very helpful in helping people finish their unit. It is optional. You do have to register to attend. They are hosted by the virtual study group chair. She would sort of moderate the meeting. At the meeting, each person gets to share what they're working on. You get to meet other people who are in the Zoom meeting. And at 2 different times, the unit leader attends the meeting. So at the very first meeting, the unit leader goes over the whole program, tells you kind of what they're focusing on, what you might want to focus on. You can ask questions about what materials to get started. And then partway through this session, the unit leader comes again for a question-answer period. The virtual group, I think, started in 2021, and it was set up as a 6-year program. We are now down in year 5, semester 2. So if you see there, this is from February 1st to May 31st, and units 14 and 2 are being offered. Actually, 14, I have to tell you, is not being offered right now, because 14 is being revised. So it's in the middle of being sort of updated. At the moment, Unit 2 is running. And so starting in June, Unit 15 will run. If you look back through, you will see that Unit 1 and 2 have been offered several times. They get offered repeatedly. That is because we, like I said, we encourage you to do Unit 1 and 2 both. And we feel in those two units, people need the most support. So when they're first getting started, they need this sort of virtual group support and have more questions. Once you've gotten into maybe Unit 4, 5, 6, you've got more experience behind you and don't need as much support to continue. Okay. So I've talked really fast and I've gone through, I think, the whole program. If you are interested, everything is on our website that I've discussed today. So at ohs.on.ca, you can go there and subscribe to our mailing list. The things that I talked about, they are listed there as links to these documents. And as the Weaving Education Chair, I'm also available at any time to help with you getting started in the program, or if you have any questions, if you're in the program and working through, I'm also always available, as well as the instructor, of course, to help out with any problems. I do attend the first meeting of Unit 1, just to introduce myself. So if you are ever going to consider taking the OHS Weaving Education Certificate Program, maybe you and I will meet again there. So I am done.
Thank you, Alice. That was just great. Next up, we have our next presenter. I'll ask you to stop sharing and we'll see what we'll bring Bob on. Next, if you use computer software to design your weaving drafts, there's a very good chance it's Fiberworks PCW, software that was originally developed right here in Guelph. Its creator, Bob Keates, was inspired by his wife's work towards a weaving certificate. Bob often says that he's the builder of Fiberworks, but the architect of the program was Ingrid Bosel, a master weaver whose creative ambitions continually pushed the software to do more. Over to you, Bob.
Yeah, hi. There's a bar across my screen which is hiding the share button. Oh, okay, there we go.
You're sharing.
Yep. It's hiding the play button. Okay, so I'm the husband of Ingrid Bosel. Ingrid passed away in the end of 2018, unfortunately, after a long illness. But over the years, we were together for 34 years. And over the years, Ingrid developed her weaving. And in the course of doing that, she decided we needed some kind of way of helping her weaving, just as personal computers were coming into use. So the key event was my sabbatical in 1985. We went to Santa Barbara, and Ingrid came along with me. Because of my visa, she was unable to work or take a job, so she was able to take up weaving full-time. And she started out by enrolling in the Guild of Canadian Weavers course. And one of her assignments was to draw a complete drawdown of an overshot design, 256 by 256 on graph paper in ink. And she found that the whole program that she was involved in was very dated in its outlook, very much rote work. She was not very satisfied with this. But she also, we decided that there wasn't going to be an easier way to do this. We had a very early IBM PC clone. And so we started working on a program to help Ingrid design her weaving. And that was how the first version of Fiberworks was born. The next key event was in 1986. Convergence came to Toronto, and Ingrid was involved in the organization of the Convergence events, but I was able to tour the exhibits and look at some of the other weaving programs that were on offer. And what I found was that each weaving program allowed you to design your threading, your tie-up and treadling, but they did it as separate operations. And once you had done all the separate operations, you could generate the drawdown image. If you wanted to make a change, you had to go back to square one, start again, or at least go through several steps of the process. So we decided we could do something better than that. And what we did was have an integrated approach, so all the draft components were on the screen at the same time. So you have the threading, the tie-up, the treadling, also a color bar above the warp where you could enter the colors of the warp, and a color bar next to the treadling, so you could enter the colors of the treadling. And you could also vary the thickness of individual threads, the comb above the warp. If you click in that area, you can double or halve the width of a thread so that you can create designs with variable thread width. So any part of the design is accessible at any time. You can go back, make changes, and you see what happens immediately. It gives the weaver instant feedback and encourages the weaver to explore variations on the design. In 1986, Ingrid enrolled in the new Ontario Weavers and Spinners Master Weaver program. And as mentioned, there was a weekly day of classes at Sheridan College, all the classic weaving techniques, and homework. It was a full-time involvement for 3 years. The final stage was a thesis, and Ingrid chose to study Quigley, which is a 4-tie weave structure. And she did it in combination with Samotem technique. That is a technique which brings out the colors to the surface. And the advantage of the 4-tie over more classic 2-tie weaves like summer and winter gives you a very clean separation of colors. You don't have the speckle in the background that you have in summer and winter. And you can allow up to 6 colors in a single row. So the design on the left was a design for a cushion and uses 6 colors across a row of weaving. You can also do more varied designs. And Ingrid then decided to try a project. Oh, one of the tools that we added at this time, as Ingrid was developing her weaving skills, she started to demand more and more additional functions in Fiberworks. And one of the very important functions was the process called block substitution. In block substitution, a basic profile draft, the little diagonal of marks on the grid at the top, is replaced by the blocks of a particular weave structure, so that you can expand a profile draft which shows the basic layout of your design and try it out with a variety of different weave structures. The weave structures make the design weavable. And this allows the weaver to experiment to see which is the most suitable weave structure for his or her eventual weaving. And this is a very important addition to Fiberworks because it allowed Ingrid to explore different variations on her project, 4-tie unit weaves and Quigley, and see what could be done. As Ingrid expanded her design capabilities, so she requested and got new tools in Fiberworks. One of the important tools was the interleaving tool. This was added while she was doing the OHS course. The interleaving tool allows one to combine different elements into a single final design. And what's shown here are the 3 profile drafts that Ingrid used to create the weaving, which is shown at bottom right. First of all, she laid out a series of colors and created a profile draft of colors. In this case, there is a single color on each row of the profile. Her second profile was only in yellow, and it had a random distribution of yellow blocks all over the field. The idea of the random distribution of yellow blocks is to introduce more randomness into the pattern rather than being simple row by row as it was for the main colors. And then the final profile is the background, which is all in black. The interleaving tool allows one to combine the different profiles into a single final design. So first, Ingrid combined the colors with the background, and then finally added the yellow, and the end result was the weaving at bottom right. This weaving was done on a 16-shaft AVL without pickup, just straight total loom-controlled weaving. Having done that, Ingrid realized that she could place colors pretty much as she liked. And so the next stage was this weaving here, which she calls Tahiti Sunset. And it was all woven on loom-controlled weaving on the AVL, a 16-shaft AVL. And Ingrid worked on it like an artist. She could place colors wherever she liked. Well, not quite wherever she liked. There was a maximum of 4 colors in a single row. But by dividing the blocks into small sections, she was able to have very good control over color placement. Another tool that we added to Fiberworks was the sketchpad tool. The sketchpad allows you to do free-form design. And Ingrid was interested in free-form design. She came across a book on knitting designs, and she thought she could apply it to weaving. And so she was aiming to do imagery in weaving and have it completely loom controlled on her 24-shaft AVL. By drawing images within a grid that was 21 cells wide, she created the patterns for a series of heads, which she called the women of the world. She was then able to use the block substitution feature in Fiberworks to make this a weavable pattern using 2-color tackete, a very pale gray background, and then black for the imagery. Ingrid also got interested in a technique called 2-color double weave, and that also introduced a new feature in Fiberworks, the ability to parallel threadings. And then finally, here is Ingrid. This was in her new studio when we moved to Salt Spring, just setting up. Unfortunately, that was pretty much the end of her weaving career as her final illness started to take hold. So that's what I have to say about Fiberworks and how Fiberworks developed.
Well, Bob, Ingrid's memory lives on, both in her weaving and what she gave to the world in terms of all these benefits and all these advantages and in the software that you continue to support and develop. So thank you for that. And finally, many of you may have heard of the Jane Stafford School of Weaving. It's an online guild. You may be part of it, know someone who's in it, or have woven something from one of Jane's kits or from her yarns. So while Jane Stafford can't join us this afternoon, she is wonderfully represented by Ginette Bourdage, who will share more about Jane's global online weaving community, an extraordinary resource for weavers everywhere. So we'll give Bob a second to unshare and we'll bring up. Okay. Ginette.
I better unmute myself first.
Yeah, I lost my cursor, so I couldn't click on the stop sharing.
All right. And I think everyone can see this.
Yes.
Thank you so much for inviting us to talk about the School of Weaving. The School of Weaving launched January 2016 as a way to reach more students. Jane had been teaching from her studio on Salt Spring Island for years and presented workshops all over Canada and the States, but she could only reach so many weavers. This is when her workshop called Honing Your Basic Weaving Skills became Season 1 Foundations at the school. With the help of two local Salt Spring Island young men, Miles and Dylan, who had experience with videos, 10 episodes were filmed that first season. Today, we have weavers from over 50 countries learning from the School of Weaving. The school also has over 90 individual lessons with a new episode airing every 5 to 6 weeks. Each lesson has multiple videos and provides downloadable PDFs and instructions and weaving projects. So when you first log into the School of Weaving and you know how to dress your loom and you've got your weaving technique down pat, just jump right into Season 2 Color and Weave Workshop. But need a refresher? Season 1 has you covered. You learn how to create the perfect warp on a warping board and a warping mill, dress your loom back to front, and fine-tune your weaving skills. We dive into set, cloth design, and project planning. Jane covers looms, yarns, and step-by-step on weaving a cozy mohair blanket. And we end the season by learning how to finish your hand-woven pieces. In Season 2, Jane lays the groundwork with her color and design workshop. We explore color theory, graphics, division of space, and design architecture. We look for sources of inspiration by delving deeper into images and photographs. We pull out as much as we can from images and then design your own warps. This is all using good old plain weave. Each sample starts with using A2 cotton. It's a weaving yarn that's found in almost every weaver's stash. You put on a good length warp and then sample away. We learn about asymmetry, power of a line, stripes, Fibonacci, plaids, and two really amazing color gammos, one in muted colors and one in primary and secondary colors. And then we play at the loom with what ifs. You also learn how to change a stripe color on your warp while it's still on the loom. Oh, actually, I didn't. There we go. Rethreading your warp and open up your set and then playing with repetitive sequence. In Season 2, Jane shares a tea towel exchange from 6 weavers. They took one picture, pulled colors from it, and designed their own warp. It really showcased how one single image inspired different works. Here is a color and weave gap finale piece. So Jane opened her ends per inch from 18 to 12. The warp was on the loom, removed all the apricot dividers from the original gap, and then used Harrisville Shetland yarn at 12 picks per inch and wove the entire piece using all color and weave sequences. With the plaid sample for that episode finale piece, she used a repetitive sequence of 3-in-1 from the asymmetry sample, used silks as the weft, and wove this amazing drapey scarf. Season 3, we pushed the boundaries of plain weave. We explored denting, cramming and denting, weft face, warp face, log cabin, double weave, collapse weave, supplementary warp, and supplementary weft. Loads of fun. Season 4 is the beginning of our study on twills on 4. We start with a simple 2-stripe sample and learn all the basics of 2-2 twill, 3-1, and 1-3 twill, using basket weave with twill and overlay color and design principles onto our warp. We explore small threadings, point twill, and large threadings, twill gaps. We also have Bob come by and present how to use Fiberworks on our Mac and our PCs, which is a great episode. Season 5 is all about laces, but we start with our first 8-shaft project using turn twill. Then we continue on with canvas weave and move to huck, and then huck and color and weave. Then Jane teaches us Swedish lace, Bronson spot, Bronson lace, and then we finish the season with an episode on huck and twills. Season 6 starts with our second episode on 8 shafts with a twill block. Then we explore units, blocks, and profiles with summer and winter, monk's belt, overshot, M's and O's, name drafting overshot, crackle, and block analysis. Moving on to season 7, it builds on past lessons with a fun twist, but first we kick it off with an exciting 8-shaft turn twill using color and weave. Then we take the color and weave gap from season 2 and take those color patterns and overlay them onto crackle, half drawl, monk's belt, overshot, summer and winter, and turn taquete. And then Bob comes back. He returns for a second episode on Fiberworks and how to use that block substitution tool and also adding color sequences and some more features. Season 8 was all about doubling the fun, and Jane welcomed more guest teachers to the school. In this season, there are 4 and 8 shaft projects. We did start season 8 where Jane took M's and O's on a second date, and it's quite remarkable. The patterning is the one right here. The patterning on the towels for that episode. We also had Rebecca Logan from Alberta present shadow weave and Barbara Mitchell from BC with block double weave. Plus, we had our first look at deflected double weave for 4 and 8 shafts and had fun with sequins and pockets episode. These are the sequins and pocket scarves, just beautiful. You'll also learn double-faced twills on 4 and interlocking double weave on 8 shafts. We also had Joan Kerrigan return. This was her second episode with us, and she teaches us on how to weave a traditional rib basket, step-by-step video instructions. In season 9, we double down on double weave. We have Elizabeth Hill from Massachusetts taking us on an exploration of deflected double weave on 4 and 8 shafts for 2 full episodes. And then Rebecca Logan returned with 2 more episodes, one where she continued exploring shadow weave and our first look at diversified plain weave. We also welcomed Terry Madison from Washington, showing us how to sew a pouch in a small bag using handwoven fabrics. Again, step-by-step instructions. Then Barbara Mitchell and Jane worked on a second color and weave theme episode, overlaying on 2-block double weave with completely different sides of the fabric. This episode was inspired by David Schultz from Australia and his color and weave gamp he wove in season 8 for the show and tell. This lesson really takes you to the next level. Then Jane finished the season with Honeycomb Plus. Plus, because it's not just exploring honeycomb tie-up and treadling, but also using plain weave, monk's belt, tuft weft, cording, turned M's and O's. It just loads of graphics in that lesson, and these are the cushions from it. We're now celebrating 10 years with Thick and Thin yarns. We just released the second episode on honeycomb, and also available right now is our episode on handweaving.net website with Chris Brulin, where he takes us on a tour of his site, which is a phenomenal collection of historical drafts and new drafts. If you're not familiar with the site, you should check it out. Rebecca Logan is back this season. Actually, her second episode on Diversified Plain Weave airs on April 2nd, and her episode on Twisted Wraps will be released in May. Terry Madison is working on a second sewing lesson with a really beautiful and practical tote bag. And Elizabeth Hill is coming back, and she's been exploring texture on one lesson on use deflected double weave and one on dimity. I just want to quote Jane from an article she recently wrote that you can find on our website about the 10th anniversary of the School of Weaving. And she wrote, 10 years later, I'm still looking to the future. I want everyone who is a member of the School of Weaving to have access to more amazing weaving talent out there. We've learned so much from Joan Kerrigan, Bob Keates, Rebecca Logan, Barbara Mitchell, Elizabeth Hill, Terry Madison, and our latest presenter, Chris Brulin. I'm always on the search for new ideas, so I want to assure you that the School of Weaving will carry on for years to come. This art form offers such rich avenues for creativity and personal expression, and I can't imagine my life without it. End quote. I just want to add that not only do we have amazing weavers, teachers, and presenters, the School of Weaving has spread over the years 20 talented weavers weaving just for the show and tells. Our first weavers were from season 2, that tea towel exchange you saw. The weavers get a quick Zoom meeting with Jane, and then they take her notes and go off and create amazing fabrics for the lessons. And they're all seen on the show and tell videos. Our weavers have been from BC, Alberta, Washington, Manitoba, and Australia. Weaving in Canada reaches far beyond our borders, and we see this at the School of Weaving. It's a craft that keeps growing, connecting with more and more people from all over the world who are excited to learn and just want to create cloth. So thank you for having the School of Weaving on the panel. Much appreciated.
Well, Ginette, thank you. That was absolutely wonderful. All that eye candy, all that wonderful weaving to look at. That's amazing.
I know.
So, in conclusion, from all the way from learning the fundamentals through the Jane Stafford School of Weaving, to designing original drafts with Fiberworks software, to pursuing mastery through the Ontario Handweavers and Spinners certificate program, Canada has played a meaningful role in many weavers' journeys. We are delighted to have had these panelists today to share these perspectives, and I'm sure now that I don't see anything in the chat, so I'm sure now they'd be open to questions.
Mary-Anne, I wonder, there's no comments yet in chat, but I wonder if Alice could say how much the program costs, because some people might have question about that for the OHS, and maybe the same for Ginette, in case people don't know.
Yes, sure. The OHS units are actually very reasonable. It's actually quite amazing that it doesn't cost much to get involved. So to become part of the virtual study groups, I think is only $10. To purchase a unit is $20, and to purchase the student guidelines is $20. When you are ready to send in your marking, the marking, it does, for each unit, it does cost $50 plus the shipping cost back and forth. But when you consider taking say a university style course or a college course, this is extremely reasonable.
Yes.
You have to, I always tell students that when you're going to begin, you have to consider your materials and your resources as well as part of your cost. So if you don't have things in your stash that are required, that would mean purchasing those materials which are listed. Also, resources can be borrowed if you are a guild member somewhere. Often guilds have libraries. Public libraries have sometimes beautiful resources you can use. But personally, I've had to go and purchase some, so that's also added into the cost. But the actual unit themselves, just to purchase, is very reasonable.
Thank you.
Hey, the School of Weaving is a renewable subscription, so it's $99.99 US a year, or $9.99 US a month. So you can subscribe monthly or yearly, and it renews every year. And with your subscription, you get access to absolutely everything that's already been aired and is available on the site, which also includes so many PDFs as well. You also are able to take part of our forum. Yeah, that's the price of it.
Reasonable.
Thank
I
you.
see a question. Bob, you get a cost question as well. Can you address the cost and how to access Fiberworks?
Yeah. Well, Fiberworks is available on our website. The initial download is free, but the limitation of the free version is you can't save and you can't print. But you can play around with the program and decide whether you like it. We offer the program in 3 levels. Bronze is kind of your basic level and probably a good starter level. And that is $99 US or 120 Canadian. The next level up is silver. And there's a slight price differential between Mac and Windows. It's $160 Canadian on Mac. That's 128 US, or 200 on Windows. And that's because Windows has the extra feature, the Sketchpad, which I briefly touched on in my talk. The Sketchpad allows you to do freeform design and then do block substitution to create a weaving draft. And somehow that has never reached the Mac program, so Mac program is a little bit cheaper. But the website is www.fiberworks-pcw.com. Fiberworks is spelt the American way, Fiber. And so, as I say, the download is free to try out. And if you're satisfied with what you have, when the program starts up, it shows you a program ID number. You send us the program ID, and we will invoice you. And once it's paid, we send you the validation code, which activates the missing save and print functions.
Thank you. Any more questions for Bob? We have a question, Alice, that people are wondering, can the OHS course be done totally online? Are there any classroom sessions, or can it be done totally online?
It is a complete online program. There are no classroom sessions. There is no physical place to go to. It is all done online. You don't have to take part in the virtual groups if you don't want to. It is a complete sort of instant download. So you get the program and you just get to work. As I said, you can contact me for any information as you work through it, or you can contact the unit leader. But it's a complete at-home study program.
Great. And Bob, I see in the chat you're getting all kinds of compliments
Mhm.
about how you're supporting your software.
Right,
You'll have to check those out.
right.
Anyone
I would
else?
just like, oh, sorry, I just want to jump in. I want to take a moment to honor Ingrid Bosel while I can, because I was actually going to mention this in my talk, but I didn't want to overstep anything Bob was going to say. But Ingrid does support one of our weaving awards. So if a student within the first 3 years of weaving, our top student, who the three instructors who do units 1, 2, and 3, they get the Ingrid Bosel Award, and it is supported by Bob and Ingrid has been a huge member of OHS and very honored to have her work as part of our sort of background. And she's a well-remembered past member.
Great. Yes. A wonderful weaver. Yes.
There's a question, Mary-Anne. Someone is wondering if there's a good online workshop on using Fiberworks for Mac.
Bob, any ideas?
Yeah, well, I do have the session on the JST school, so
Okay.
Yeah, we do have, when Bob came and did that episode with us, we have a bunch of videos just for Mac.
yeah.
Okay.
There are also videos on YouTube. I'm not responsible for them. Various people have decided to create YouTube videos illustrating the use of Fiberworks, so that's another place to go.
Good. Good to know.
Also, if someone speaks French, there's Mary's Giroux in Quebec that offer classes both for the Mac and the IBM and the Window Fiberworks, and their classes are really good.
And Susan Wellman wants to move to Canada.
Oh, you're welcome, Susan.
Come on
Anytime.
over.
Linda's asking, is there a historic weaving tradition in Canada? Yes, there is. There is definitely there depends on the part of the country, but there's definitely one in there'd be Acadian weaving in the Maritime provinces. We'd have a separate tradition of historic weaving in Quebec, because that was partly driven by language. Dorothy Burnham did extensive research on coverlets and weaving in Ontario. And then on the prairies, I know that there's some connection there was a link across with Barrio to Quebec weaving, but that they had a tradition there. And I would say there's not a single tradition, there's several.
But last July, if you go on the work website, last July we had a panel on some of the historic weaving tradition in Canada, and it's accessible to everybody. So if you consult our website, you can find it. It was last July.
Yeah. Getting other great comments here. Mississippi Mills, yes, that's just outside Ottawa. And it has a wonderful Canadian overshot coverlet collection. They host a lot of very good weaving exhibitions. It's a wonderful space and workshops and all kinds of things. Yeah, and true, huge Indigenous weaving traditions as well. One of the features that we're going to be offering at the annual gathering in Guelph is we're one of the speakers, our opening presenter is going to be Naomi Smith, who's a renowned Indigenous bead weaver. Her work is absolutely fabulous, and it'll be a great thing to open the conference here. And the West Coast, yes, Chilcoat woven blankets. So it was really hard for us to determine how we were going to cover such a big topic in an hour, and who we were going to get to present. And then we decided what we would look at, okay, which we thought that in terms of expansiveness and reaching out to the rest of the world, the 3 programs we presented to you, the certificate program, the software, and the online school of weaving, probably had the best reach and were probably the best sharing of Canadian talent and opportunities that we could offer today. So that's how we landed on this format and this content. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you'll come to the gathering in Warp. Hope you'll come to Guelph.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary-Anne. Thank you very much to you, to all our speakers, and everybody who was here today. And also remember that we have a panel every month. So don't forget to go to our website and register, and also look for the annual gathering information that is there. And as you said, it will be really great. So we hope to see you there.
Rocio, the April panel is going to be from Oaxaca, Mexico
Oh,
on,
okay.
on intercambios. It's basically the idea of reciprocity and how it builds community, how cooperative communities work. So that should be very interesting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And it is open to all, so you can
It's
register.
open to all. Yes. I'm not sure if it's on the website yet because we don't
No,
have
it's not.
pictures from the presenters yet. We're waiting for photos to entice you to come.
Yeah, it will be ready soon for you to register. So thank you to all of you for being here today. And
Thank
see
you,
you soon.
Rocio.
Thank you. Thank you to our presenters. Yes.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very
Thank
much.
you for
It was
having
very-
us.
Yes, thanks for
very
having us.
interesting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.